Hi, I'm Stephanie, and today we're talking about how to mentally prepare for sales, especially when we know they're coming. This applies to any sale throughout the year, but it was inspired by Black Friday season, because at this point, it's not a day, it's an entire ecosystem. Once upon a time, Black Friday was a single chaotic Friday. Then it stretched into Cyber Monday, and then the entire month of November. And now it feels like brands start warming up in October like athletes at a marketing Olympics. So if you struggle to keep your shopping in check during this time, it's not just you, it really is a marathon. But Black Friday also feels different because it promises the best deals of the entire year. And that promise can act like caffeine for the impulse buying part of the brain. So today, I'm going to share a few strategies that help me take advantage of sales without letting the sales take advantage of me. Whether you're someone who struggles with overspending or just overaccumulating, these tips can help you shop with a clearer head and a calmer cart. These aren't rules or financial tips. They're just mindset shifts and little practices that have helped me shop more intentionally and stay on good terms with my wallet. So if you have found tactics that work for you, please share them in the comments, because the more collective wisdom we have, the harder it is for marketing psychology to steamroll us. Now, before we talk strategy, we have to remember what sales actually are. They were not created for your benefit or mine. They were just created to move product. Sales help brands clear excess inventory, increase revenue, and make space for newer things that we will also be told we absolutely want or need. That doesn't mean we can't use sales to our advantage. It just means we're not the main character in the story. So to use sales for our own benefit, we have to start with one uncomfortable truth. You can either spend money or save money, but you can never do both at the same time, because saving money means keeping it for yourself. So even if a sale does mean spending less, you're still spending. The sale didn't pay your bills or contribute to your retirement fund. It just let you hand over slightly less of your cash. Now that might sound cynical, but reframing sales that way actually helps slow me down, because every sale wants me to believe that I'm saving, but really, I'm just spending less aggressively. And that less aggressively part only counts if it's something I would have bought anyway, like replacing my concealer that's almost empty. Buying that on sale means I do spend less. But if I walk in for concealer and come out with a once-in-a-lifetime eyeshadow palette because it's 30% off, I didn't spend less, I spent more. That's an impulse buy, not savings. And I say that as a certified deal diva. I have a whole video on shopping personality types. I'll link it here and in the description. So let's talk about how to survive sales season without the deal diva within succumbing to the wiles of sales culture. So let's talk about the power of a written budget for the sale season. Yes, season, because Black Friday now lasts longer than some relationships. You might want separate budgets, one for household restocks, one for gifts, one for personal splurges, and even if you're really well off, so that price is no object, this budget can actually come in really handy, and you'll see that in the next steps. But here's something important. Not every budget has to be about money. If the challenge for you isn't overspending, but overaccumulating, try a space budget instead. Think of it like a physical container budget. You can go through your collection or your closet or your craft room and see what you actually have room for. For example, if you've got space for 2 eyeshadow palettes, 3 blushes, and 1 new concealer, then write that down and treat that as your guideline. And you can do the same with anything: handbags, fragrance, hobby supplies, you name it. That way, the limit isn't about what you can afford financially, it's about what you can comfortably fit into your life. But don't just type those numbers into your phone, write them down physically, with a pencil. Feel the movement in your body as you make that decision real. Internalize it, and then look at that number and ask yourself how it feels. Does it feel too tight, like you won't be able to get what you need or want? Or is it too generous? Do you feel like you might be dedicating too much money to sales shopping that needs to maybe go towards something else right now? Especially if it feels too tight, write down why you chose that specific figure, because remembering your why later on helps you to stick to it when your cart starts looking like a fever dream. And if that budget felt too generous, then write down what you think you should be spending that money on instead. Get specific, because when you see those things listed out in front of you, it makes it easier to adjust your budget to something more in line with your true needs and wants right now. I actually shared my own Black Friday beauty budget with my patrons over on Patreon, including how I calculated it and what I'm prioritizing this year. So if you'd like a peek behind the curtain, I'll link that in the description and here too. Once you've written your budget down, then you can save the numbers in your phone, along with the why if you think you might try to justify going over your budget later on. And you'll need these numbers for the next part. Just like Santa makes a list and checks it twice, we can do the same thing. And this is where it can get fun. Write down everything you think you want to get, even the ridiculous stuff. Then treat your budget like a puzzle board and see how many pieces fit until the board is full. This will help you prioritize your purchases to get the most out of your budget and take true advantage of any sales. But even if you're really well off and you could technically afford the price of everything, you might not be able to afford the cost of all that stuff. And by that, I mean your home only has so much space, you only have so much time in a day, so how much of that space and time can you really afford to dedicate to new stuff? Everyone's answer will be different, nobody's answer is wrong, but everyone on Earth has limited time and space, meaning everyone does have a limit. So ask yourself, how much of your space and time do you actually want to dedicate to new stuff? This might be especially useful if you're considering any purchases in your kryptonite category, the type of thing that you might tend to buy too much of for whatever reason. My own kryptonite category has historically been makeup, specifically eyeshadow palettes that all look like slightly differing shades of dirt. So I list everything from daily use items like concealer that just need replacing to fancy eye dirt items that I'm lusting after, but I actually already have more than enough of. Then I write down the target price next to each one, not the retail price, the price that I want to pay when I get it on sale. For example, if my normal concealer is normally $50, I'm aiming to buy it for $35 or less during the sales. That way, when the chaos starts, I already know what counts as a real deal that's worth it versus just marketing noise. And once I see the target price next to those items, it makes it easier to prioritize what will give me the most bang for my buck so that the sale is a win-win situation for both me and the store, and not just for the store. Now, if you're thinking, but Stephanie, I like to browse. I'm not some kind of shopping robot. Good, neither am I. If you love the thrill of discovering something new, then plan for that too. You can literally make a budget category called spontaneous joy purchases. I started doing this after realizing that every time I banned myself from browsing, I would just end up doing it anyway, only with more guilt and worse judgment. So now, if I fall in love with a random eyeshadow palette that reminds me of crushed seashells and delusion, I can buy it guilt-free because it's in the plan. The secret is not in avoiding the fun of shopping, it's in pre-approving it and setting boundaries for it. Because the difference between a mindful splurge and a meltdown buy is simply whether you planned for it. Pre-planning pleasure doesn't kill it, it just gives it a seatbelt. The beauty of budgeting is that you get to design your budget around how you actually behave, not how some financial guru says you should. So if you're someone who likes a little surprise in their shopping, then set a limit for that category. That way, you can still enjoy the spontaneity without losing the plot halfway through your cart. And I would love to know what counts as a spontaneous joy purchase for you. What's your version of the delusional crushed seashell eyeshadow? Then, once the sale season starts, there's only one thing left to do. Shop strategically and in order of priority. Get the most important things first. Your must-haves should be at the top of your list, so if you can, take some time to figure out what those things are before the whole frenzy begins. For you, that might be replacements for your household or a certain special treat that you know would be absolutely perfect for you or someone you love. The reason strategy and priority setting are important is because brands can be pretty sneaky now. They'll tell you Black Friday is the big sale, but then Cyber Monday shows up with even better deals, followed by December flash sales that make you question all your life choices. Don't chase perfection. If a price matches or even beats your target, buy it, cross it off the list, and move on with your day. Because our time and energy are also part of the price we pay when we buy things, and some of us spend way too much of both hunting for the ultimate bargain. Several years ago, I remember spending a whole afternoon deliberating between two nearly identical pairs of shoes because one came with a free tote bag. Spoiler, the tote bag ended up falling apart, and all that remains of that experience was the headache. Sometimes a deal is expensive because of what it costs in attention. So if it doesn't meet a need or bring genuine delight or relief, then it's probably not worth your Saturday afternoon. So get your essentials early and release yourself from sale season purgatory. Can you remember a deal that you chased that turned out to be not so worth the hunt? I have a feeling a lot of us have those. At least I hope I'm not alone in it. As you shop the sales, remember that budgets aren't carved in marble. They're kind of like living, evolving things. So for example, if I find my concealer for 50% off instead of 30% off, that frees up a little bit of room. And that way, if I had spotted a gift for my mother that went slightly over budget, then I can buy it because I can shift some of that leftover money in that direction. But if you notice that you're overspending or overaccumulating, stop, take a breath, and reset. Sales can make even the most grounded among us feel temporarily feral. Some of my abandoned carts could probably be used as psychological case studies. You are not failing if your cart gets out of hand. You are human, and you are currently facing some very persuasive marketing and algorithms. So the goal is not perfection, it's just awareness. Every time you pause, you strengthen that muscle a little more, and soon that pause will get easier, like catching your balance mid-stumble instead of just falling flat on your face. That's what I remind myself of when I'm tempted to overcorrect with guilt. We don't need to punish ourselves for wanting things. We just need to practice noticing which wants actually make life richer. So if you catch yourself overspending or accumulating too much, just go back to your list and decide what you can skip for now, because there will always be another sale and another and another. Plus, sometimes it actually makes more sense to buy less now during the sales and then even pay full price later for some things, if that means you're going to be able to cover all of those expenses comfortably when they're spread out over time, because cash flow is its own kind of luxury. And if you want a little extra accountability or inspiration, I'll also be sharing how my own plans hold up this season. Wins, wobbliness, what I learned over on Patreon. It's our little corner for intentional indulgence and thoughtful spending. Ultimately, sales are loud, emotional, and everywhere, but they can also be opportunities to practice discernment. Using sales with intention puts you in charge of your choices and makes sure that you really do get the best deals and not the stores. It helps you spend less aggressively so that you can make your money and your time and space and energy work harder for you. And the more we practice that, the less power marketing has over us, and the more likely our purchases are to really add value to our lives. Because that's what thoughtful spending and intentional indulgence are actually about, making our lives better on our terms. So whether you're restocking your essentials or treating yourself to something special, may your Black Friday be peaceful, your cart intentional, and your budget intact. If this helped you feel a little calmer heading into the sales season, then please like, comment, subscribe, and you might like this video here. Thanks for hanging out, and to all of my patrons and channel members, including my Adagio angels, for making content like this possible. I hope we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.